Well, hello and welcome back to Middle Age Moto. I've been gone for a while, 30 days to be exact. My last video I stated I had set an appointment to bring my bike to the dealer. So this video is going to be kind of a rundown. If you notice, my fuel gauge is working again. And I'm going to give you kind of a rundown of what they went through and what they did on my bike and why it took 30 days. If I sound muffled, it's because I have a head covering on that's covering my mouth. So I'm not really sure how this audio is going to turn out. And if it's horrible, I apologize, but it's cold. It is crispy 37 degrees, and I got my ice warning light on. But I've been without my bike for 30 days, and I'm bundled up with layers and my winter gloves and long underwear and wool socks, and you get the drift. Anyone that drives in the chilly weather. It is a dreary day. I picked the bike up yesterday, but it was raining, so this is the first ride out since I picked it up. So I dropped it off on December 9th, knowing that it was going to take some time to get everything straightened out. Recap on what I dropped it off for. Fuel gauge was inoperative. There was a recall. Ducati called me and there was a recall on the rear brake line. I had an intermittent loss of power that hadn't happened in probably 4 rides after it happened originally, and I needed my annual service when they just kind of go through the bits and bobs on the bike and change the oil and do that kind of stuff. So how Ducati works, I understand now. Hold on, I'm gonna try to hold it. All right, I pulled the thing off my mouth, so maybe it's a little bit easier to hear me. At least we'll get the best shot at it. So how Ducati works with the warranty item is, from what I understand, the dealers do not stock the parts to repair the fuel gauge, so they have to hook it up to the system. They have to open a ticket, run several diagnostics on the bike, send those results to Ducati. Ducati determines if yes, it's a legitimate reason for a warranted item, and then unfortunately they need to ship the parts, and the parts are coming from Italy. So I'm assuming they come from Italy. I didn't ask, so I don't want to get blasted in the comments for saying, well, they house them in the States. They might. It took quite a while for them to get the parts and run through the diagnostic, and they got the results back. Boom, boom, they sent the parts. So I was unaware that changing out the fuel sending unit is a pretty in-depth job, and you kind of have to really rip the bike down. So I dropped the bike off. It was approaching holidays, so by the time they got the parts in, we were approaching Christmas, and the dealership was closed for a few days during Christmas. And then they started working, and then I had called to check on it the following week, and the technician that was working on my bike had a family emergency and had to leave for a day or two. Understandable, things happen in people's lives. From what I understand, he's got smaller kids and had something that he needed to handle. I'm okay with that. And then somewhere in that span, either New Year's or Christmas, they closed down, which is phenomenal for the dealership, not for me getting my bike back. They closed down for a long, they gave everybody like a 4 or 5 day weekend. It was really nice of them to do. The staff was extremely appreciative of the fact that they did that for them, and you can't fault them. You know, they need time off too. So they called me, of course I was on vacation through the holidays. I believe I said that. I took several weeks off at the end of December, the last half of the month, and into January, so I was out until started working again January 4th. They called me on January 5th and said the bike was ready, but of course I was back to work, just having time off. So my dealer is an hour and 35, hour and 40 minutes away from my house, and I trailer up and pick it up, and it pretty much takes a half a day up there and back picking it up, and of course looking at the new bikes, and that'll be another whole segment that I'll get into. I got to stay out of the front of the house when I'm going to service. So as far as the throttle, they could duplicate the problem. It threw no codes, which I figured would happen. So we're all going to chalk it up to a bad tank of gas, because it really hasn't done anything since that first day when I had the video. One of my videos, and I'll try to link it, I still haven't figured out how to do that, but one of my videos basically, you know, the power cut off. They couldn't duplicate the problem. They ran all the tests. They said electrically everything is fine with the bike, and it really hasn't done it. Watch, it'll do it today. But what I understand, you know, of course I've mentioned this before, that the fuel gauge is a common problem with these bikes. I knew it going in. My sales guy has a Ducati Monster, and he said his fuel gauge is gone, and that was the only real problem that he had. And I personally used the trip, but they reset my trip. I guess they disconnected the battery. So they reset my trip. So I'm relying on the gauge right now. I'm going to fill up here this morning. But with that said, what the service team told me was a lot of the time it fixes it for a while, and then for some reason they go bad again. And he goes, usually Ducati will goodwill it, because my bike's out of warranty next month. So I'm weighing a couple things. You know, I've had the majority of my bikes through the years have never had a fuel gauge, and I've always relied on the trip. My riding style is always pretty much the same, and I know if I'm aggressive, I got to get in there a little bit earlier because the gas mileage drops. If it goes bad again, some people are recommending replacing it with an aftermarket one. But now that I know the job is such an extensive job, I don't really know if I want to get in there and rip my whole bike apart. I have mechanical ability, turn wrenches on cars, but I've never really worked on motorcycles, and especially Ducati, so I don't really know any of the pitfalls and problems that may come up. So we're going to cross that bridge. I'm not going to live in the wreckage of the future. We're going to just roll and see, but I may just see if there's a way to shut the light off that blinks if the fuel gauge goes, and just run without it if it happens again, unfortunately. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. The rear brake line, they had to check and determine whether it was part of the recall based on, you know, numbers or a visual inspection, and it indeed was. And there was something on my repair order that said, I believe it was like CC rear caliper. So I believe that's like, you know, check and clear or something of that nature, just checking it. There's not a lot of details on the warranty aspect of it. It just says warranty, and it says what they checked. But they did replace the rear brake line, and you know, to be honest with you, the brakes feel pretty much the same as they did before. So, you know, at least I know that that's taken care of, and there's not going to be any safety concerns or anything of that nature My only negative about the entire visit is I picked my bike up, and of course when I called him, he said call me a day in advance, we'll get your bike cleaned up and I'll get it out front the morning that you're going to come and save some time. Fantastic. So I arrived at the dealership, bike sitting out front, and from a distance it looks fantastic, but I get it up on the trailer, and as I'm tying it down, I'm looking over the bike, and there is grease everywhere on the trellis frame, on the side of my gas tank, handprints, and I was just kind of disappointed because I'm pretty meticulous with my bike. You know, I keep it real clean. Another thing, they must have moisture, or it must be damp or something, or non-heated where they store the bikes during that time, because my radiator hoses on the they're all on the left hand side and they're exposed. It's kind of an ugly thing the way they have them set up, but it's a known thing that on Ducatis they discolor, or they get a white kind of film over the top, and they've never done that, and when I picked the bike up they were covered. I'm going to stop in here because this gas station is convenient, and I'm going to get some gas, and then we'll pick this up after I get gas. So let's pull in here. And they finally got new pumps. All right, I'll pick it up in a second. Okay, so we are gassed up and we are back on the road, and gas prices are rising. Can't imagine what's causing that. Super is just shy of $3 a gallon now, where just a month or two ago it was a lot cheaper, almost 40 cents cheaper. All right, so the lines, and I'm going to use some WD-40 or something to clean up those lines. I noticed a small touch of rust on one of the clamps that I didn't remember seeing when I washed it before. Now, one thing that might have happened when I brought it up, the bike was I ran into rain, so the bike was wet, so they might have just brought it in wet, and it sat in a non-heated or a less heated damp garage area, and that water just kind of sat there until they finally got to the bike. I don't know when I dropped it off on a Saturday. They were closed for 2 days, so it's 3 or 4 days that the bike sat before they did it. So not a big deal. As far as service and quality of the work, other than the dirt, everything appears to be good. Like I've said in the past, it's just in the past I've had issues with the communication, but I'll tell you what, the service advisor was, you know, he didn't really give me a lot of updates because he's jamming busy, but he did text me when the bike was ready, and he did respond to my text, and I texted him and told him that when I would be in and what time I should be hitting the store, and he texted me back and followed through with what he did. So, you know, I gotta always take into consideration, this is like other than going to Georgia, which is probably, I don't know, 2 hours away, there's a Ducati dealership, maybe 2.5, and then almost 3 hours down toward Mobile, Alabama, I believe. So, you know, I got to remember that there's a good amount of Ducatis. There's a Ducati club in Birmingham, and it's a large club, so there's a lot of bikes, plus they sell other brands, and they only I think they have 6 or 7 techs. So just know that when I drop it off, it's gonna be a while. And this time of the year was perfect because it did rain a lot. Now, I was off for 2 weeks and it was some beautiful days that I was kind of really jonesing. So that segues into you know, maybe another video. I think I've dwindled down and I'm gonna go cheap on my next bike, so I'll do another video down the road. on what that is. It's an old bike that's been redesigned, that's coming out next month. It should be hitting the States. It just got confirmed that we're getting it in the States. So I'll do a video on that. It's a cheaper bike. It'll be a cash purchase, and that way I don't have to, I mean real cheap, like, you know, 6 grand, under 6 grand. So with that said, that's an update. The bike's running good. Really super happy to have it back. Happy enough to be out on a 37-degree day riding it. And with that, I will see you guys next week, because I definitely am going to get out, even if it's cold, as long as it's not snowing or raining, which it doesn't snow in Alabama very much. But with that, it's good to be back. Thank you for holding out, and I missed all of you. Oh, and I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, everyone that celebrates Christmas, or actually happy holidays. Let's just encompass everything, because I don't know who's watching from where, but you know, happy holidays to everyone. Happy New Year to everybody. Let's hope New Year brings some relief from COVID. And it's already started off with a bang with all the stuff going on in Washington, but this is not a political channel, so we're not even going to go there. I have no opinion on that. So with that said, if you heard something you like, maybe take a peek at some of my other videos. This is a new channel, up and coming. I think I'm now at 17 subscribers, and I appreciate all of you immensely. And with that, if you heard something you like, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and throw a comment. I love interacting with you. Thank you.